Titus in your head.
It's interesting. I think he's creeping in there, but I'm writing a book now, and I'm trying to keep Titus out of the room. But I'm the type of writer who's I never wrote Harry Bosch thinking like of an actor or something like that. I write the way I love to read, and that is to create stuff out of nothing. I love the way the imagination works in that way. And so I created a visual image in my head back in the 80s, and he's aged as because he ages in chronological time in the books, and so that's a very, very solid image, and it's hard to push that out. And I've had this happen before, where actors have played these characters that I've imagined, and they haven't been able to push that out. What also helps is that Harry's an old man now. Harry's 64, and the show is very distinctly different. So in a way, it's two different. It's apples and oranges.
He's not that far off.
That's my wife, who is Dutch and has no filter. I start by bringing you on.
Could I just ask, I was really impressed by the quality of the writing. Eric and yourself, Mike, wrote the first episode, so can you tell us a little bit about some of the other writers? And have you got the same director all the way through, like True Detective, or have you got different directors?
No, we have, just a director question real quick, how many, we had like 7 or 8.
Right.
We had 2 directors that did 2 episodes, everybody else did a single. The writers come from all over. They have some pretty good experience, like people on The Sopranos, The Wire, Mad Men. People that have experience on the long form, not like open and close stories every week. There was the big struggle we had, and where Titus came in to help us, is that it's a very internal character in the books. He doesn't say a lot, he nods a lot. He doesn't ever want to reveal himself, and so that was our essential challenge. How do we get this stuff out? So people say, why didn't you start with the first book, Black Echo? Well, we decided to start with Concrete Blonde because we knew Harry would be put under oath and kind of dragging and kicking, have to reveal stuff about himself, which I think was one of the best scenes in that pilot, is when Money Chandler, nails him. And that was, in a way, you could say as a gimmick, that was a way of revealing his backstory, because Harry, if you know the Harry from the books, he would never tell anyone that story. So he had to be under oath and had to be pressed by a lawyer to get it out. So that was where our thinking process came from. Where do we, what stories do we draw on that best platform or reveal this character? And then we added City of Bones, and you can see at the end of that pilot, Harry connects personally to what happened to this kid. And so we now have a case that, of course, Harry doesn't know this kid, but he has this empathy towards what happened. And now we start seeing what this character's about. And, there's no dialogue there at the end. It's all in his eyes and what he reveals very powerfully, silently. And so that's to me a great case of where you said the writing's impressive, but there was no writing there. It's all in the actor's hand to take this character and realize it in this other dimension of film.
Thank you.
The police drama has been a pretty much constant on television since TV began. And it looks like it's never going to go away.
I hope not.
What do you think is audiences' fascination with crime dramas, crime novels and crime dramas on television? Why do we find them so fascinating?
Well, I think multitude of reasons. They're high-stakes stories. Most of us don't live high-stakes lives, and I think we, sublimate ourselves into those kind of stories. These are stories about people who I think, at least that's what I think what I'm writing about. That comes through in the show and so forth. What you said earlier today. This is about a guy who would go into that alley in the beginning. How many of us would follow that guy into that alley? Yeah. And so we're very interested in people who are like that, because they are quite different from us. And it's about people who have ideas of fairness, about doing the right thing, when the chips are down, and that's where the ideas of hero and modern nobility, I think, come from. And I think you're more often, you can find them in any kind of story, but you're going to find them a lot in stories like this.
I noticed the bracelet that you're wearing
Yes.
in the pilot. Is that yours or
That's
is it
mine, yeah.
It's not going to be expanded on as like a character?
Well,
No spoilers.
no but I've been wearing this bracelet for many, many years. It's a thing that I do with my daughter. These are made by fishermen on the East Coast in Massachusetts, and they're sometimes called friendship bracelets. And so we wear them, and it's a bit of a contest to see whose falls apart because they don't come off. And so I couldn't take mine off and didn't want to take it off, and it became a part of Harry. In that, I guess you say Yapakoto has his headband and I have my bracelet.
But Harry has a daughter, so
But Harry has
you guys can figure it out. You haven't seen the daughter yet, but she plays a pretty significant part in this show, this season.
Yeah, and wonderfully played by the actress too, by the way, so it's something to look forward to.
There's an interesting variation between the books and the episode, which I'd like to query. It's mentioned at the hearing that Bosch was in the Gulf War and then Afghanistan, but in the books, of course, he was in Vietnam, working in the tunnels, which obviously is important in some of the books. Why that change?
Because we're doing a contemporary story, and so Harry Bosch would have to be, I think the youngest he could be and have been in combat veteran of Vietnam is 63. And, this is a clash of creativity and commerce. We'd like to actually have maybe 5 or 6 seasons. I think you signed up for 16, but we can't start out with a 63-year-old Harry Bosch. So what we decided long before we ever talked to Titus was that we would find the best actor we can find between 45 and 55. And it turns out Titus is right in the middle, so we signed him up for 16 years.
Good. To speak to that because of Harry's service, that it was important not only to me but to everyone else that Harry's military service be honored, because it has informed the man that he has become, and certainly the work that he's done in the tunnels. In Afghanistan, Special Forces 10th Group, which is the unit that Harry served with, that Able team, they did a lot of the cave fighting against the Taliban and Al Qaeda. So that's honored and will be fleshed out to a certain degree at some point. But it's an integral part of who Harry is, and so. I was born in 76, and so it's a bit of a stretch to.
The thematic thing about the tunnel, which starts in Vietnam and carries through the books, we're able to keep that intact. And he just in this first season, the tunnel stuff, that theme, and going through darkness towards light, really comes to fore. It's pretty cool, in fact, how we do it, I think.
Brown jumper. That's you.
Thank you. You mentioned earlier that Harry's getting older in your books, and you've touched upon his daughter. Have you considered writing books from the point of view of Maddie as time goes on?
Well, I plant seeds all the time, and Maddie could become somebody, a main character that I write about. But for better or for worse, I have everything moving in real time. And so she's only 18 this year, so I wouldn't be putting her into the forefront of a book for a number of years. But it's definitely something I consciously set up so that if I'm still writing in 5 years, maybe you'll see a book about Maddie out front. And that's part of the fun of what I do is put stuff in that can come back later.